Have NeNe Leaks and Bravo reunited in the same way that Evelyn Lozada and Jennifer Williams have reunited? Have they reunited and does it feel so good or nah? Okay, that's the question on everybody's lips right now. So I saw this yesterday while I was flying about, and trying to get back home. And I was like, you know what? Let's dive into this today while we talk basketball wives as well. Okay, so we're going to talk NeNe Leaks first and the interesting things that she has going on because, as you guys know, NeNe Leaks always has some interesting things going on. So let's discuss. Okay. So yesterday I saw this post on our friends over at Queens of Bravo's Instagram page, and it says that after Andy said at BravoCon that there was room in his heart for everyone when asked about NeNe Leaks, all signs of NeNe and Bethenny's podcast collab, along with her interview with Bethenny, have been erased from NeNe's account. Bethenny still has hers up. So you guys may recall that NeNe Leaks did the interview with Bethenny, garnering, I'm sure, millions of views. Okay. And it was very interesting that this comes after the interview that Carlos did with NeNe Leaks that garnered millions of views. And notably, NeNe's interview with Carlos is still posted on her page. Now, I had to do a little digging in a couple of different spots to see where all of this had been scrubbed from. I did notice also too that there are pieces of that interview that were also put up on NeNe Leaks' page that she did with Bethenny, and they are still there on her YouTube page. So if you go to her YouTube page right now, I'm literally I just opened the screen again. As of this moment right now, 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, they are still up on her page, okay? On her YouTube page. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but things are very interesting right now, okay? So you guys can see the post here. Now, when I looked on NeNe's page, like nothing is there with Bethenny on it. All right. Nothing is there. Nothing was there. And when I go to Bethenny's page, she has a lot of like posts. Just a lot right now that I'm looking at. So when you scroll down, I do see a clip of what looks to be another podcast that she did with NeNe. Because they were supposed to be doing like the joint podcast together, right? There were going to be, I guess it was going to be like a limited series of a podcast that they were doing together after the success, okay, of the initial podcast. So, with that being said, what happened? Okay. What made NeNe take all that stuff down? Now, a lot of people have felt like Bethenny was basically using NeNe Leaks for the clicks and for the views. Okay. And, the fact of the matter is, NeNe Leaks makes headlines. As I've stated to you guys time and time again, getting into this space, it was always so fun and exciting initially because NeNe Leaks was making headlines literally every single week. Like when I first really started with my own channel on YouTube. And so it's interesting to note that this has happened right after Andy said that. Whether or not that has anything to do with it or not, is yet to be seen. But what we can do is we can point out something that our friends over at the Reality Rundown happened to catch. Now, I'm going to pull that up for you guys right now so you guys can see what else is going on, as Cynthia Bailey says. Because it says, wait, Bravo follows NeNe and she deleted all her pics with her and Bethenny down from her Instagram. Now, some people are surmising that one, NeNe Leaks may have just been, you know, maybe NeNe Leaks is creating chaos for NeNe Leaks, right? And maybe she's, sabotaging a bag or something like that. I don't know. All I know is, in terms of her work with Bethenny, all I know is that things are interesting right now. Things are in a very interesting space. I don't know if Bravo was following NeNe Leaks all along, but I know that fans are now noticing that they are. So the timing is interesting. Let me know in the chatterization what you guys think. Of course, this is all speculation. We can only guess right now because NeNe has yet to speak on it. She did post a new YouTube video, but it really didn't talk anything about any of this. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens, right? Watch what happens, as Andy Cohen always says. Watch what happens. All right, so now let's get into our Basketball Wives review. All right. Let me know in the chatterization if you guys happen to catch last night's episode of Basketball Wives. We are currently on episode, 7 of season 11, and it's called The Double Standard. Now, this episode was very interesting because I could see a couple of different sides in this episode. And so I want to know how you guys feel. Is Cleana right about the double standards in the group? Is Brittany right about the double standards in the group? Or does Cleana not really have a leg to stand on? That is going to be the topic of our discussion for today because a lot of the drama centers around Cleana. What am I rating this episode on a scale of 1 to 10? I don't know, honestly. When I watch Basketball Wives now, especially like last night's episode, I feel like I'm waiting for something major to happen. And I just didn't get what I was waiting for. You know what I'm saying? Although I will tell you that I think I'm going to give this episode an 8 because there were moments where I felt something, right? I felt a sense of either release. And we talk a lot about the tension of conflict and how there is a release that we feel emotionally when the conflict is resolved, right? Which is why it is always smart on these shows, if you're going to have a conflict, that you resolve it so that the tension can be resolved for the audience, right? The viewing audience. Same as it is with like reading a book, watching a movie, there's always a climax. And then at the end, usually things are resolved. That's just the way that storytelling typically works best, right? And what we can't stand is something that just lingers on and on and on and on for ages and ages and ages. And we've still got to continue to deal with this same story that plays out for such a long time. And you're just like, is it over yet? Okay. Can we get on with this? Can we move on? Which is a similar situation that we are experiencing in Potomac. But I digress. Today's about Basketball Wives. And so that's where we'll start this discussion from that place, right? So I'm gonna give it an 8. Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. I would give it a 7, but I gave it an 8 because there were moments where, like I said, I did feel something and there was some attempt at resolve. So that's progress, I suppose. 7.5 is what I'm going with, actually. Now that I think about it, 7.5. Okay. All right, so we are back in Arizona. All the girls are gathering around to recap Cleana's bad behavior. This is immediately following Cleana getting the splash down with Brooke's drink and security hauling, Cleana off. Now, I could have swore I saw something online where it was insinuated that there was more that occurred that we did not see, whereas maybe Brooke had connected with her at some point, like in terms of a punch being thrown. I'm confused about it. So right now we're just going to go off of what we did see, which is her being carted off by the security. How many times has this girl been carted off by security? When I really think about it, like a lot. Like almost every time she's in the scene, I feel like she's being carted off by security or something is happening. Anyway, Jackie recaps trying to bridge the gap with her. And, Evelyn just feels like Cleana, although she disagrees with, much of Cleana's actions, she does agree with Cleana calling out Miss Vanessa for being in everybody's business. Now, Brittany, on the other hand, is kind of just taking it all in. She does feel like she has a lot to say, but she's being really quiet in this moment because she feels like if she speaks out against this group, there will be an issue. I am interested more so in if I look at Cleana and I look at Brittany as both two characters who are coming into the show, I'm actually more fascinated by Brittany's perspective because she seems also very introspective, which is like more thoughtful in her approach to things, even though she did have like a big reaction to Brooke initially during her splashdown moment. I just feel like I can respect Brittany a bit more than the way Cleana is moving, even though Cleana has also made some good points, which we will get to, right? But I feel like there's an issue with Cleana that she needs to deal with before she can deal with her issues with the group, right? All right. So the next day, Jackie is running around with a bullhorn and some sage trying to get the girls all up and ready to go for the shaman or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? Brittany stops by Jackie's room and tells her, like, I feel like Cleana started a lot of ish, but she also feels like Cleana was targeted as well before she even got there. And to that, I say, yes, I would agree she was. Okay. I definitely think she was. But Cleana does not help her own cause, right? You know, if Cleana had this level of energy and she had been on this show for about 2 or 3 seasons, I feel like if we had seen a bigger buildup to all of this, but again, it's hard to care for Cleana as a character on this show. I'm not talking about in real life, guys. I'm talking about as a character on this show. And that's the reference point for which we talk about all shows at this point. I just kind of feel like I don't care enough to be that invested in her plight and in her fight. Okay. But I would appreciate it more if we knew her first versus just feeling like she's just come in like a wrecking ball and we don't really know you all that well, right? So Brittany, I do feel like is making some astute observations, especially as a new person in this group. But I do feel like the difference between Brittany and Cleana is that Brittany is willing to look around, understand the landscape of where she is, or at least attempt to, even if she feels lost in it, and also pick her battles, right? Like, I feel like she's doing a much better job at picking her battles and sort of slowly, it's a slow burn, but slowly determine where she fits into this equation and how to express her displeasure with what's going on, right? Because there is a bit of a pylon, right? She sees it. And I appreciate this sort of slow burn because I like seeing the development of her character, right? She's giving us more to work with, and maybe it's because she's a main character and Cleana isn't, right? Now, some people may be off put by Brittany's sort of lack of engagement, but I find it intriguing because I find it to be real and authentic and much more along the lines of how I would respond to these situations. She also reveals to Jackie that she feels like, you know, if people don't feel the same way as the rest of the group, then they are isolated, which can definitely be the case amongst this group. Although I would say that I do feel like the group respects Brittany a lot more than they respect Cleana, because I also feel like Brittany is also coming from a more genuine place in terms of just being authentically her, right? And Jackie is like, just stand your ground and let's see how things go with the shaman, right? It could open up a whole new element for you and the group. So Ev stops by to see Cleana and to find out really like how, like, girl, what's going on? And Ev feels like, you know, Cleana put herself in a space of isolation. Now, Cleana feels like she didn't do anything to Brooke. Now, truthfully speaking, well, let's get into it. Evelyn tries to tell her that by putting her hands on Jennifer, Cleana was wrong. I agree. Evelyn also tells her that Brooke doing what she had to do by throwing the drink at her was the right thing to do as well. Well, she feels like Brooke did what she had to do. She doesn't outright say it was right, but she definitely ain't say it was wrong. And I just kind of feel like it was also one of those situations that was, as I always say, if it continues to go up, it's going to go down. And what I mean by that is if the temperature keeps rising, okay, in a heated situation, it's going to go down. Like something's going to go down, right? So I felt like it was a natural escalation, but I do feel like Brooke really just wasn't having it with Cleana. So it really wouldn't have mattered what Cleana said at that point. Brooke was already just annoyed with her, right? Cleana feels like Brooke's actions were indefensible, and Cleana calls Evelyn fake and washed up in her confessional, but not to her face. Okay. I did notice that. And also says that Ev has also behaved like an animal in the past, so she doesn't feel like Evelyn has a leg to stand on when it comes to telling somebody not to be throwing drinks or whatever like that, or not to be pushing people. And for that, I would say that's true. Okay. But that also lets me know that Cleana is a fan of the show. Okay. So this is an interesting situation. I always say to people, and it's kind of a running joke here in our house, like in our household, like, don't hold me to my past, right? And the past could be yesterday. Okay. The past could be yesterday. It's like a running joke, right? But the actual element of that is we really have to deal with people as they present themselves to us and not necessarily based on our past, especially if we are new to dealing with the person. However, if we see patterns that form like that are happening to us, then that past can inform us of, okay, I see now you have a pattern that has not changed. So I think in that regard, with Cleana having watched the show, she naturally came into the show on the defense with everybody. But I also have to give Cleana this. The whole passive aggressiveness that Jen kind of threw at her in the beginning, I felt like once that happened, I mean, she went on the defense with everybody, okay? And I do think that mixed with her natural level of like defensiveness, there's something going on there, in my opinion, because Cleana's not all wrong, okay? But she ain't all right either, to be for real with you, because it feels like she has a chip on her shoulder. And it seems to me like this group is not bringing out the best in that. Okay. Now, granted, again, is she all wrong? No, no, no. But is she all right? No. Okay. I would care more and I could possibly be more on her side. I don't know her that well. So when you come in like a Tasmanian devil, you know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that I'm not trying to degrade her as and call her an animal. What I'm saying is I'm likening the behavior of pushing Jennifer, of, getting into it with everybody. That's what I mean when I say a Tasmanian devil, like, rah, 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 like a dungeon dragon. Rah, rah, you know what I'm saying? Like a wrecking ball, to equate it to a more inanimate object. I just kind of feel like you don't win yourself any, you don't do yourself any favors with your longevity with the group, okay? Because even though you might be raw, like a dungeon dragon, you still need to be able to interact with the group at large in order to stay on these types of shows. So if you're on an island by yourself and you're new and you ain't in the opening credits, girl, you're gonna fight your way right on off the show. And you're gonna have been used for a season and not a lifetime. So anyway, that conversation really doesn't go very well because Cleana feels like also too she barely touched Jennifer, and I'm like, Now I know. n- Would did she have some? Maybe that she had like. Did they have some drinks at brunch that day? That she don't remember or recall what she did? Because she literally pushed Jennifer unprovoked. She followed Jennifer outside and then pushed her unprovoked, knowing good well that Jennifer is not going to be the fighter. Okay, period. I don't know why Jennifer didn't mollywop her back, but because Jennifer is like 8 feet tall, and Cleana is like 5'2". It look alike on the screen. So it looked like this small person is pushing a giant, and you just be like, Miss Giant, what you gonna do? But anyway, nonetheless, all right. I mean, and I like Jennifer's stance of like, y'all not gonna have me on this television fighting. Although everybody has done any and everything to you, Jennifer has been had a drink thrown in her face, a table thrown at her. She has had and the drink was by a man, and she been smacked across the face. She been popped in the head with a pocketbook. Like they have just mollywopped Jen. And in my mind, girl, take some self defense classes. Okay, do something. Okay, throw up an elbow or something like put your. Oh, actually, she's so tall she could just step on one of these people. Okay, but anyway, I get it because Jennifer wants to conduct herself like a lady, and I don't blame you. I just hope they paying you for your pain, baby. Anyway, meanwhile, that don't work with Cleana and Evelyn. So I wrote in my notes that Cleana nor Evelyn can be the spokespeople for not putting their hands on people, to be very honest with you. Neither of them. Neither. So anyway, it's time for the shaman trip. Miss Vanessa is like, oh, I gotta go check on my babies and things like that. Something's going on. She just don't want to be there, okay? Because she at home in Arizona. She want to go see her kids. Um, Jackie's understanding, and then they playing Tyler, make me sweat, make me water. Dum, dum. That song. That's my jam right there, baby. Anyway, Tyler's performing in the background while at the shaman, not really, but the group arrives there minus Cleana and Vanessa, the problem children. So anyway, before they even get to setting their intentions, the folks is crying, crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. Everybody breaking down. They got to drink the cacao, which is allegedly some type of chocolate that nobody liked, and it's time for release. Evelyn releasing negative energy with Jen, who feels like home to her. Thank God, reunited, and it feels so good. Jen wants to be a better friend, and she feels like Evelyn is also her safe space. Shocker. Um, Brooke wants to release lifelong trauma and being more trustworthy. And Brooke also reveals that she's going to catch a flight back to LA since she's having trouble dealing with the holidays. One of the best things that I think that came out of this initially, though, was this idea that, the girl, Brooke tells Brittany that the girls welcome Brooke tells Brittany that the girls welcome her as she is. I like that because, again, I feel like it gives clarity to the space of when people begin to open up, it's a little bit easier to give them grace, which is why when it comes up about giving, Brittany wanting to extend that same level of grace to, wanting the rest of the ladies to extend that same level of grace to Vanessa and Cleana, Evelyn is like, no, ma'am, Pam. Okay. I tried to have a conversation with her. She refuses to take accountability after going after everybody in the group. And that's the other thing, too. You've had so many issues with so many people in the group. You don't have nobody on your side. Um, and Evelyn is like, you know what? And Miss Vanessa, she has been actively investigating Jennifer's man. And Jackie's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Jackie, who did not want that information to come out like that, is like, how did I get involved in this mess? Also, she tells the group that Vanessa has found out that, Jennifer's man allegedly has a child that nobody knew about. But Jen is like, I know about his son. We was with his son all this past weekend. Okay, so she is upset. and neither Evelyn nor Jen will be giving Cleana or Miss Vanessa any grace yet. Okay. Meanwhile, Vanessa does spend some time with the kids, and I'm like, are her bangs blue? Blue black? Are they blue black or are they purple? Because y'all know I'm colorblind, so I don't know. Actually, I don't even know what color I'm wearing. So anyway, back at the resort, Brittany does meet with Cleana, who feels like it's a lot of fake energy, and she calls Miss Vanessa Leatherface. You would think that they would be on the same side at some point because they both on the outs with just about everybody. But anyway, Brittany didn't like that Vanessa threw Cleana stuff in the pool, but she does feel like Cleana went too low with Jaceel. And again, this is where I like Brittany. Brittany, I feel like, is just honest, right? Now, she ain't providing a lot of comedic value. Initially, when I thought when she was coming on the show, based on what I had seen of her on social media, my little investigation, not a lot, I was thinking maybe she'll be like the new Drea, who has the ability to be open yet also comedic as well. But there's not a lot of comedy here with Brittany just yet. So I'm looking to see more flavors of her personality, similar to the way that she changes hair colors. Okay. But I still like her. I don't know what it is just yet. So I think it's that I respect her. I respect her approach right now. Right now, I respect it. I don't know about later. I don't know about no time. I just respect it right now. Cleana reveals that she wants to apologize to Jaceel. So she also tells Brittany that she had a conversation with Evelyn and apologizes if she allegedly pushed Jennifer. Allegedly? Why don't you remember? I mean, girl, you did it. You were there. How do you not remember putting your hands on this woman? Like, and you went after her. It wasn't like she jumped at you. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, she does think that Evelyn is Delulu with the double standards, and we got a bigger problem, Miss Cleola. But Brittany finds it hypocritical that Ev is backing up Brooke for throwing a drink because Evelyn made Brittany promise not to throw any more drinks. So, there feels like a double standard. Brittany just wants everybody to move forward, and Cleana is amenable to making amends with Jaceel. Evelyn and Jen sit by the pool. Basically, Evelyn and Jen just talk about the good times, and Evelyn reveals that she wants Jennifer to have a conversation with Shanice to clear the air so that they can officially really move forward as friends. Which I think does need to happen because based on the flashback that showed how it went down with Shawnee being the person that actually said that Jennifer said those things about Shanice, I don't know how she's going to come back from that for real, because Shawnee being an executive producer on this show and also seemingly being a credible source for Evelyn, that is a difficult pill to swallow, although I feel like Evelyn just wants less drama with somebody that she has known for years. I just feel like y'all probably just need to get over it at this point because, I mean, if Evelyn is trying to move past it, I feel like either Shanice is or not going to move past it. And I also feel like she don't have to move past it, to be quite honest with you, because at the end of the day, just because mama friends with somebody don't mean that, you need to be friends with her too. Mama and daughter is different people. So mama and daughter ain't got to have the same relationships because mama and daughter ain't got to be friends with the same people. Anyway, Cleana does meet with Jaceel, who really doesn't want to be there, but she goes and Cleana dives right into the apologies that she was wrong. She feels like she's constantly being attacked and that she projected it onto Jaceel. Cleana reveals herself in that she says that she's dealing with a lot of trust issues and feels like no one is being there for her. Jaceel, who is still hurt, is going to give her a bit of an inch. You know what I'm saying? And tells her that if she got another problem with her, come straight to her. I agree. I like Jaceel too. Jaceel and Brittany, to me, are a breath of fresh air on this show because I do feel like I like their level of realness, even though sometimes I feel like Brittany's can be clouded a little bit by Cleana. I do feel like I like the fact that she's also thinking for herself and able to say what she does not like when she doesn't like it. Okay. When she feels like she can, right? And that will probably become more frequent as time goes on. But again, it's a slow burn for it. And I don't know if most people are going to be with that or not. Vanessa stops by Jackie's room because Jackie is trying to patch things up with Vanessa, Jen, and Ev. Jen and Ev show up, and Vanessa reveals that, oh my God, Jen, I really was not investigating your man. I just wanted you to get your money back from this dog caper. Okay. And so Ev is like, no, you was also telling people that I broke up with Levon, which I didn't do. Spoiler alert. Now, I don't know whether or not Miss Vanessa, when we did that interview, Miss Vanessa said she could tell the people how to have a baby and what type of baby to have if they want to have. So she might be also clairvoyant because she might have also seen in the tea leaves that Levon and Evelyn was going to break up. So she was just telling people the future. Okay. So, I mean, Miss Vanessa got something going on. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she can see the future. Maybe she got the cards. You know what I'm saying? The crystal ball. I don't know. But she clearly saw something. Maybe she did an investigative report on that too. So anyway, Vanessa's like, well, I was just coming from a good place, girlfriend. And Jen is like, I'm in love with that man. You saw how happy I was. And you need to worry about your own relationship, girl. And I'm like, oh, Vanessa's got a new look in that confessional. Yes, give me punk rock. And so Ev tells her, you need to figure out what's going on with your own life. Figure out yourself, sis. Ev feels like Cleana and Vanessa do all this wild stuff and then act like victims. And Evelyn then says, I have never seen two women who have nothing going for themselves. I didn't like when she said that because I don't really feel like that's the case with either one of these ladies. I think it's just that you don't know what's going on with them, right? Or they haven't revealed what's going on with themselves to you, which they don't technically have to do. They need to reveal them to us themselves to the audience, okay? Or at least to one or two other people on the show, but that might not be you, okay? So you don't know what's going on with them. So I don't think that's fair to say. I don't like when she said that because I feel like that's not true and that's not fair. Don't diminish these women like that just because you don't know them that well and you don't know their traumas and their struggles. You know what I'm saying? That's not cool. But things get even crazier. Okay. Ev says, who is Vanessa Rada? You're a wife and you're miserable. You cried with me because you were having a miscarriage and being extorted. I was like, extortion, embezzled. Okay. Chime down in the chat if you know what that's from, baby. Anyway, embezzled. So I was like, what? So it turns out that Vanessa and Evelyn, when they had their one-on-one in the park, that Vanessa shared with her that when she had a miscarriage due to this woman that her husband had been cheating with, trying to blackmail them or him or something like that, allegedly. Like Cleana allegedly pushed Jennifer, or she thinks she allegedly pushed her. Allegedly. Okay. So anyway, this turns into a shocking reveal that then turns into tears, okay? Because at this moment, I felt like Evelyn realized she said too much. That's what I think. And she asked if she can have a moment alone with Vanessa, and Jennifer and Jackie leave. And Evelyn talks to her one-on-one. I wish that they could have started from this place because this was another one of those moments that I felt in this episode where Ev is talking to Vanessa about how she doesn't want to fight her. She's sad for her. And, because Miss Vanessa has been going through so much with the cheating and all of that stuff like that in her marriage. And Evelyn is like, I've been through that before. My God, what would have happened had they come together like that in the beginning? Had they come together with regards to their struggles, if they led with their struggles and not the drama, my God. But I think that's also what made this scene hit so well for me, is because they have had so much drama. I really hope that they can stay in this place because I liked what I saw in this moment, though I did not appreciate the way it came out from Evelyn. I don't think that was right. But where it got them to, I actually loved it because I just felt like this is the conversations that I want to see on this show because they're real. You know what I'm saying? And for that, I give them kudos because we've not had a lot of these types of moments on this show. And I just like what I see with it. So I hope we can continue with this. We'll see next week. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the chatterization down below. And of course, I will catch you in the next video.